If you were anything like me as a kid, Goosebumps was your gateway into horror. 62 books of the series were published between 1992 and 1997, which was peak childhood for me. It spawned a television series, video games, spin-off books, feature films, and so much more. R.L. Stine was born in Columbus, Ohio, and he started writing at the age of 9 when he discovered a typewriter in his parents' attic. He was inspired by things like Tales from the Crypt, which was very popular at the time and would prove to be very influential when it came to developing Goosebumps. After graduating Ohio State University, he moved to New York to pursue a career as a writer. He wrote children's joke books under the pen name Jovial Bob Stine, and created teen magazine Bananas, published under Scholastic. R.L. Stine wrote his first horror novel in 1986 called Blind Date. In 1989, he published his first book under the Fear Street series, The New Girl. And following that success, the co-founder of Parachute Press, the publisher behind Fear Street, convinced Stine to write scary books for younger children, so he began developing a series. When skimming through TV Guide one night, he stumbled upon an ad that read, "It's Goosebumps Week on Channel 11, which solidified the name of the series for him. Now, the publishing history of Goosebumps is murky at best and involves a conflict between two publishers, Parachute Press and Scholastic, which we'll get into in a bit here. Parachute Press helped develop Goosebumps with R.L. Stine, who didn't have high hopes for the series at the time. He was still trying to find his voice in writing scarier themes for a younger audience. Parachute, as series packager, handled production design and management, while Scholastic, who agreed to officially publish it, owned the copyright, distribution, and marketing. The first two books were published in July of 1992, Welcome to Dead House and Stay Out of the Basement. The following months saw Monster Blood and Say Cheese and Die published. Goosebumps was not a success at first, with sales being very slow to start due to lack of advertising. There was even talk of ending the series at book 6, and by today's standards, it probably would have ended there. However, book 7, Night of the Living Dummy, with the introduction of Slappy, is where things started to take off, strictly on word of mouth. By book 9, Welcome to Camp Nightmare, demand for the series had increased so much that Scholastic and R.L. Stine began churning them out bi-monthly. Now, Goosebumps is known for its iconic covers. The first two books were illustrated by two different people, Tim Jacobus, who did Welcome to Dead House, and Jim Thiessen, who did Stay Out of the Basement. Scholastic ultimately chose Jacobus to do the rest of the series with. Jacobus illustrated 60 of the 62 original books in the series. Brendan Dorman would take over for illustrations after 2008. And the iconic Goosebumps logo that everyone's familiar with was designed by Holly Tomasino. In 1995, by the time the series was on book 27, A Night in Terror Tower, Protocol Entertainment, in association with Scholastic Productions, produced Goosebumps the TV series, which premiered in October of 1995 with a 2-part adaptation of The Haunted Mask.
Your face! The mask!
The series was filmed in Ontario, around the Toronto and Markham area, and would feature eventual stars like Ryan Gosling, Scott Speedman, Hayden Christensen, and A.J. Cook. Canadian composer Jack Lenz composed the now iconic theme song for the series. The TV show ran until 1998, adapting 42 books in total. Now, what happened between Parachute Press, Scholastic, and R.L. Stine? Because it's pretty juicy. Throughout the 90s, there were disputes over who owned the marketing rights to the series, as both Parachute and Scholastic owned rights to different elements of the franchise. Scholastic felt Parachute had overstepped when it came to marketing, booking press conferences, authorizing deals, while Parachute accused Scholastic of hindering their ability to make a decent profit on the series. And to make matters worse, as popularity of the series declined in the early 2000s, Scholastic accused R.L. Stine of using ghostwriters for a majority of the books, which was in direct conflict of their contract with him, which stated that he would be the sole writer of the books. Scholastic claimed he wrote the first 16 books on his own, after which he employed ghostwriters who made the majority of creative decisions, with him only contributing to minimal changes. Parachute, in defense of Stine, argued that the sole writer clause of the contract did not prevent Stine from getting assistance on the books, but they eventually admitted that freelancers helped flesh out Stine's outlines. Many years later, Stine would state that he wrote all the Goosebump books himself, but sometimes had other writers help out with his outlines. Parachute and Scholastic's dispute exploded into a full-blown lawsuit. Scholastic claimed Parachute was violating Stine's contract and began withholding payments, at which point they went to court. While the two publishers fought, several Goosebumps deals and opportunities were stalled or vanished entirely. A Goosebumps movie was in early development but died quickly due to the legal battles. In 2000, due to declining Goosebumps sales and Scholastic's overall stock dipping, Stine's contract was not renewed and he left Scholastic for good. The cases were eventually dismissed, with a judge citing not enough evidence from either party. At this point, though, the damage was done. The series and all of its spin-offs came to a halt with the legal battles. In 2003, Scholastic purchased all the rights to the Goosebumps franchise for over $9 million, leading to the first set of Goosebumps reprints and an eventual revival of the series in 2008. In 2015, a feature film was developed starring Jack Black as a fictionalized version of R.L. Stine, and R.L. Stine even made a cameo at the end. The film resulted in a sequel in 2018. And in 2023, a new darker series premiered on Disney+, dropping the anthology format and going for a season-contained continuous storyline using elements from the book series. Goosebumps is the second best-selling book series of all time, behind only Harry Potter, with 400 million copies sold worldwide.
Just a mask.